And welcome back. African Americans have historically underutilized the benefits of hospice care, despite being considered one of the most comprehensive and quality models of care available for people with an advanced terminal illness. Project Hope is a program that's been launched by the Visiting Nurse Service of New York in Harlem and the Bronx. It's designed to overcome these barriers and connect families with comfort oriented care focused on pain relief, symptom management, as well as emotional support. Here now to tell us more is the director of VNSNY HOPE Program, Michelle Drayton, and then also the pastor of Amplify Christian Church and VNSNY Project Hope faith-based leader, Pastor Corey L. Kennard. And we thank you both for joining us again.
Darren, it's great to be with you. Great to be here again today to have the opportunity to talk about the Hope Program.
Definitely a pleasure. Definitely.
Well, Michelle, I'll start with you because obviously when we talk about hospice, it's not a conversation that many people want to have. And sometimes there's this reluctance. And I know the partnership with the faith-based community actually opens a door to be able to reach more people.
Absolutely, Darren. So many people are missing the opportunity to really benefit from this very, very comprehensive program, as you mentioned earlier. And when people are facing a terminal illness, oftentimes they don't have the access or information about hospice, and we are finding that one of the most significant barriers to this is really misinformation, but not only misinformation among the community, but even within the provider community as well. And so the Visiting Nurse Service of New York HOPE program, we're working with community stakeholders, including physicians, hospitals, but we're finding that one of the most important connections that we could be making in the community to connect community members to services is through our faith-based efforts. So over the past year, we have engaged faith-based leaders in having the conversation about what hospice is and also trying to address some of the myths and barriers. Many people think that hospice is a place that you go to. 60% of all hospice is done in the home. And people feel that you have to be really so close to end of life before you can benefit from hospice, when in fact, if you have a prognosis that is a trajectory of illness and thinking that a person may pass away within a year or 6 months, that's really the time to consider hospice at home for both, as you mentioned earlier, comfort, care, and pain management, and not aggressive therapy.
Let me get in Pastor Kennard and talk to him for a minute. As a faith-based leader, obviously you're considered a credible messenger, and you have the opportunity to talk to your congregation and those in the faith community about hospice care. Can you walk us through a little bit about that conversation and how it's going with the receptivity? Because we do know that, particularly in communities of color, when it comes to healthcare as a whole, there's also this disparity that goes on, and there's also a lot of skepticism. So when you talk about hospice care, obviously some skepticism and some reluctance there as well. How's that conversation been going?
Thank you once again for having us on. I want to answer that question in this way. When we look at hospice and hospice care and the conversations that I've had in the faith community, one of the barriers that comes up really is this misconception that if I submit to hospice, I'm giving up on my life. When in actuality, we're dying daily, and so because we're dying daily doesn't mean that we're giving up on living a quality life. And so when we look at life in general, yes, life involves death, but it also involves living the best life that you can possibly live. And hospice offers that opportunity and assists those individuals when they are not able to do that themselves. And so with the conversations going on in the faith community, it's important for faith leaders to understand that when it comes to hospice care, when it comes to caring for the dying, when it comes to quality of life, all of these principles are found in our faith books. And as a Christian, when I look at the Bible and I read the Bible, I see the Bible in and of itself as a roadmap and a guideline, not only on how to live, but what does it mean to leave a legacy and pass on things to that next generation. And in order to leave a legacy, you have to die in order for that to really occur. And so death is a part of life. And I try to get faith leaders to understand the importance of seeing it as such.
Yeah. Michelle, a little bit about some of the myths, because there are myths that are associated with hospice and also some misconceptions. So give us a couple that we can be able to debunk for people who may be considering this and need to have the right information.
So I think, Darren, one of the most important myths is that hospice is a place that you go to. So first and foremost, hospice is done in the home, whether your home is a nursing home or your residence. Hospice is expensive. Hospice is a part of one's Medicare benefit. Okay, so if you're not of Medicare age, hospice can be paid for through Medicaid. There really is no financial barrier to hospice, and we also do charity care. um, you know, I have to be imminently dying. I have to be bedbound. No, I have to be over 65. These are all myths about hospice. Or I think one of the other major issues is fear and trust. Um, right? I mean, and there's some legitimate reasons why people mistrust the healthcare system. I think the most important thing people need to do when they're facing a terminal illness is they need to make sure that they're having the conversation with their healthcare provider, and that if they're not getting the answer from their healthcare provider, they need to go to another healthcare provider. And really, the importance of weighing one's options. What the data actually shows is that actually hospice helps to prolong life. With hospice, you get a registered nurse coming in, assessing what your physical needs are, as well as your emotional needs. There's a social worker, there's a spiritual care counselor, and then also there's a home health attendant. And what I found with working with patients through the Visiting Nurse Service of New York is that oftentimes those patients have a better quality of life. And we know that things like stress or isolation actually lead to quicker and more pronounced illness. So if you have a comprehensive team surrounding you that's focusing on your comfort care and your goals, that may be that you want to get to your daughter's wedding or you want to go to a event. We will focus on that goal and support you through that process. So people are actually living longer. So hospice should not be equated, as Pastor Corey said, with giving up. This is about taking control of your life and actually being empowered.
Pastor Kennard, what results have you seen as a result of this partnership, particularly within the faith community, of getting that message out?
I've witnessed awareness, a newfound knowledge base that our faith leaders are now having as it relates to how they even approach ministry, how they look at scripture, how they look at caring for the sick and caring for the dying. And then really, one of the biggest things is to have faith leaders to face their own mortality. Um, Brother Daren, that is a huge obstacle because, as faith leaders, we feel at times that we are invincible, right? There's nothing is going to happen to us. However, when we come to grips with our own mortality, when we come to grips with the fact that we too are dying or in a dying process constantly and daily, then we truly understand that the benefits of hospice, the benefits of advanced care planning, the benefits of talking about these things on a daily basis and on a weekly basis in our ministries will help our congregants to be in a much better position so that when they are facing end of life challenges, that they have faith leaders who can stand with them, who are knowledgeable and aware and are empathetic about what they're going through.
And if I may add to that, Darren, one of the other really critical points is that there's such a disparity in access to hospice care. If you look at the national data, most of the hospice users are Caucasian. I would say about 85% who utilize hospice are Caucasian. Only 8.5% of the people utilizing hospice on a national level are African American, and 6% are Latino. When you look at New York State, a major deficiency in utilization of hospice. There's only a 27% utilization rate of hospice in New York State. And so there's really a gap in both information as well as continuity of care. Too many from our community, African Americans and Latinos, are dying in a hospital situation. That's not where we want to be when we're critically ill. Most of the times, people want to be home and surrounded by their families. And so we need to be aware of what options we have and then leave that up to us to make that decision in collaboration with our physician or healthcare provider. So I want people to know that there's a great disparity, and don't see hospice as giving up but see it as an option. I've worked with so many patients who said, listen, I have cancer, I have lung cancer. I've led a wonderful life. I don't want any aggressive therapy. I choose to be at home with my families. So we need to make sure that providers and our healthcare providers, at a minimum, Daren, are having the conversation.
Michelle, Pastor Kennard, we have to leave it there. But thank you so much for joining us as well.
Thank you so
Thank,
much.
thank you. My pleasure.
Glad to have you both sharing with us here. And want to let you know now, if you want more information, please do me a favor. Visit their website, VNSNY.org/hope. And you can call 212-609-1900. We encourage you, don't go anywhere. We do have more show coming up. We'll return right after this.